I'm gonna press record. Ooh, it tells you now. Okay, cool. Hi everyone. I am Sam Constrakes. I'm the co-senior managing director of Forefront Baltimore. And Forefront Baltimore is a hub for Jewish teens and the adults that care about them in our community. Whoops, someone is joining us again. Okay. And thank you all for joining this virtual college road trip. The college road trip is a collaborative creation from Jewish initiatives across the nation. It started last year in the height of the pandemic to ensure that no one missed out on this, milestone, but it's a COVID keeper. We're keeping it around. It really allows people to see schools from all over, and we're really excited. This session tonight is kicking off the college road tour, the road trip for us in Baltimore. We're excited to have some guests from University of Delaware join us. So let's get started without further ado. So today we have with us University of Delaware admissions, Matt Hermanow. We have from Hillel, Cassie Perez, and we have student Becca Goldberg here to share a little bit more about student life and Jewish life on campus. At any point, if you have questions for any of these lovely panelists, feel free to put it in the chat. We'll go back and forth and make sure that all the questions are answered. And I think people will break and we can have more like a conversation if that's something that's desired. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Matt, and excited to hear more about University of Delaware.
Okay. Hey everyone, my name's Matt Hermanow. I'm an admissions counselor from the University of Delaware. Give me a second while I share my screen. I'm going to share my desktop first because there are a few links in our presentation. So give me 1 second. I'm actually going to open up the chat and I'm going to post a link for our students today to actually fill out this form. When you fill out this form, it gathers all of your information, including your name, your hometown, the school you go to, where you're from, and it will be stored on our end on our admissions record base. So if you have any more questions about the University of Delaware, you'll be added to our mailing list and you'll receive notifications to apply and when tour opportunities are available for you all. So feel free to grab that link. You don't need to fill it out now. I'll share it with you all again at the end of the presentation, but it'll be active for about the next 48 hours. So just make sure you fill it out sometime soon so that we get all of your information and you can continue hearing from us in the future. But with that, let's just dive right into some information. So as I said before, my name is Matt Hermanow. I'm an admissions counselor from the University of Delaware. I'm also a native Delawarean and a UD alum myself. I graduated 4 years ago now, and I did my undergrad in psychology and biology. And now I work for our Office of Undergraduate Admissions. I'm our assistant director of the Visit Experience, and I also recruit for the Central Jersey and Jersey Shore areas. When we're talking about the University of Delaware, though, we're a pretty cool and a pretty unique school. So if you've ever heard about the University of Delaware before, or if you've ever heard about various bits and bobs of lingo during the college search process, you may be familiar with the concept of a state school. So the University of Delaware is a state school. We're a 4-year public institution that's supported by the state of Delaware. Now, there are plenty of state schools around the country. Each state has their own, but because the state of Delaware is the second smallest state in the country, we have a pretty interesting student population composition as well. So compared to other state schools like Rutgers or the UMD system or Penn State, those schools are pretty big, but because Delaware is the second smallest state in the country, we are a smaller state school as well. So if you're looking for a comprehensive 4-year public education, but you don't really want to get lost in the crowd and you want a more intimate campus feeling, University of Delaware is probably a good fit for you. Now, when we're looking at a map of where we're located in the mid-Atlantic region, you could see that we are pretty centrally located in the Northeast on the East Coast. We're about 2.5, 3 hours from New York City. Our closest city is Philadelphia, which is about 45 minutes away. And we're about 1.5 hours to Baltimore and then about 2 hours to Washington, D.C. So it's really easy for students to get to and from our campus and connect to all of these major cities. We allow students to have a car on campus, which makes it really easy to get about And we also have an Amtrak and a SEPTA station right in the middle of our campus. So if you live near an urban area in one of the corridors and you just want to be able to hop on the train to get home on the weekends or for various holidays and breaks, you can do that. But having this connectivity with our region makes it really easy for students to get various jobs and internships and go to various cultural events on the weekend too. But that's not to sell the state of Delaware short. Of course, since we're the state flagship, we're deeply connected to our state, and the state of Delaware has a lot of pretty unique resources compared to other states. So being the second smallest state in the country, we also have the benefit of the city of Wilmington, right about 25 minutes away from our campus, which is actually a hub for the country's financial industry. So about like 85% of the world's Fortune 500 companies are actually headquartered in the state of Delaware, and they have offices just 20 minutes away from our campus. So if you're looking to go into the financial sector or the healthcare sector, or things like the chemical industry, those resources all exist just on the doorstep of our campus. But when we're talking about our campus itself, because we're a smaller school and we're a smaller state, we have a smaller campus size too. So if you're familiar with some of the larger state schools in the area, you may be familiar with the idea of like Rutgers, for example. There's 5 different campuses. You need to take a bus to get from each of our campuses. It's not like that here at the University of Delaware. This overhead shot that you're seeing is the entirety of our campus. If you start at one side of my screen, walk to the other side of my screen, it'd be about like a half hour, maybe a 45-minute walk if you're dawdling. But that is our campus. You can walk anywhere on our campus. But of course, we do have a shuttle bus system when it's raining or if it's cold outside. But when you're walking around our campus, you'll be walking past all of these like red brick buildings. You'll be walking past all of these old historic shade trees, and our campus really is centered around this central green. Because we're a small campus, we're also connected to a small town as well. We are located in the city of Newark, Delaware, which is kind of a misnomer. Again, Delaware is a small state, so our cities are also smaller too. There are actually more on-campus residents and students at the University of Delaware than there are permanent residents in the city of Newark. But the city of Newark has a downtown Main Street, which runs right through the center of our campus. It's about 2 miles long, and there are a host of shopping and dining locations for students to use. So this shot actually right here, this red brick building is actually home to our Barnes & Noble University of Delaware bookstore, which is a centerpiece on our campus, but there's also like 10 different coffee shops. There's multiple different pharmacies, multiple different banks, a grocery store, a movie theater. Really anything that you need is located right on our campus. Now, when we're talking about the University of Delaware, I did say before that we are a 4-year public institution. And as a public institution, we receive money from the state as well as the federal government in order to fulfill our mission, which is to educate the populace of the United States. So we receive a lot of funding to go towards having a lot of different major and minor programs on our campus. So we have over 150 different majors, we have over 100 different minors. 50 of our programs are actually connected to a 4+1 degree, which allows you to actually complete a master's degree in a shorter amount of time. And our major finder is really the place I would recommend you start your college search process with the University of Delaware first. So I'm going to click on this link and it'll actually take us to our major finder website. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my web browser. Perfect. Okay, I shared my screen right. So our major finder web page, I'll copy and paste this and I'll post it in the chat box for you all to see as well. But I said before, I recommend starting your college search process with Delaware here. All of our majors are what is known as direct admit. So basically when you apply to UD, you select the major you want, we review you for that program, we admit you to that program. So whatever you want to study, you're going to start taking classes for that major from day one. If you know what you want to study, that's cool. You can search by the different colleges we house our majors in. If you know what major you want, you can just click on it right from this page. But if you don't know what you want, we do have an undecided, undeclared major too. So we'll click on University Studies as our example major, But whenever you click on any of these major pages, it'll take you to more information about the major. It'll give you a brief synopsis of what goes into that major. It'll tell you a little bit more about what you're going to study. It'll give you an example of the classes you'll be taking throughout your 4 years. And it'll also give you a direct link to our global website. So University of Delaware is pretty proud of the fact that we were the first American university to create a study abroad program. We've been sending students abroad since 1923 when we started our first trip with Paris, France. And literally every single major on our campus can go abroad. Studying abroad is so popular that about a third of our campus population will study abroad before they graduate. And over half of the students who study abroad more than once. So if you're even just the slightest bit interested in studying abroad, you can do it at the University of Delaware. And I definitely recommend checking out our study abroad page that I'm going to link in the chat for you all below. But basically, you can learn a little bit more about when our study abroad programs go out. I said a third of our campus population does it, just because the University of Delaware has a pretty unique semester schedule. So we actually have a pretty long winter session that lasts for the entire month of January and part of the month of February as well. So we still have a traditional fall, we still have a traditional spring, but this winter session gives students a lot of flexibility to do really whatever they want. Students can take classes at a local community college, they can go home, they can work a part-time job, they can spend time with their family, they can stay on campus, they can do undergraduate research, things like that. But the most popular thing for students to do during winter session is actually study abroad. So if we were to click through the study abroad program website, it would open up. Ooh, they just redid this. I'm actually not familiar with this page yet. Oh, wow. They literally just redid this. And it's actually a little bit easier to see. Okay, so before it was a matrix, now they're actually listing all of their program opportunities right on this page. So if you were to click through to our study abroad portal here, you'll actually be able to see all of the trips that are going out about the next year and a half in advance. You can search through them all. They're listed by country. They're also listed by these codes, which basically is a shortened form of the major specific trip that's going out. But something to keep in mind is that all of our study abroad programs are open for all of our majors. So for example, looks like this Australia trip is going out for our geography major. You don't need to be a geography major to go on this trip. Because we prioritize a liberal arts education, we require students to take breadth requirements in various different disciplines beyond what they're studying in order to make you a more global citizen and increase your awareness of things outside of what you're specializing in. So if there's a trip here that you just absolutely want to go to, maybe you want to go to Athens for what I think would be the language and literature program, but you're not that major, but you do need a second writing requirement course, you can go abroad to that trip as well. But with that, let me go back to our PowerPoint presentation and let's continue on with some more information. So in addition to the major finder page, which is a crucial resource that I always recommend students start out with, we also have what we call our outcomes website. So our outcomes website is also a searchable matrix similar to our major finder page, and you actually can click on and see any outcome for any major on our campus. So I recommend just grabbing this link, looking through it with a family member or maybe a parent, basically anyone who's interested in seeing what you're going to be doing with the University of Delaware education is going to be interested in this page. It has information like how many of our students are employed in their career within 6 months of graduation. It'll say what type of business students are going into, what their starting salary is, how many of our students are going on to more advanced degrees and advanced education, including what schools are admitting University of Delaware students to those programs. So maybe you're interested in going to medical school, or maybe you're interested in going to law school, or maybe you just want to go into industry. You can see where in the world you're likely to end up based on what other University of Delaware students who graduated with your degree ended up doing. I definitely recommend checking this out. It updates every year. Basically, all of our information is updated sometime during the summer. Usually it's around July 1, but you'll be able to see the most recent year, which will be for the class that graduated last year sometime soon. But of course, you can search by grad year, you can search by academic college, and you can search by any of the majors that you're interested in as well to see this information. And then, of course, in addition to all the different majors and minors that we offer, we also have an honors college that students can join. Now, students can be in the honors college in addition to any combination of majors or minors that they want to study. Basically, the average UD student has more than one degree under their belt, and they're graduating with more than one degree or a few different minors when they graduate. But with our honors college, it prioritizes smaller classes and a more enriching college experience. Now, I say smaller classes, but you've probably heard me say this before. University of Delaware is already a smaller school. Our average class size for all 4 years for all students, it's about 35 students per class. But with the honors college programs, those classes are smaller and around 10 to 15 students per class. But by being an honors student, you get smaller courses. Those courses move more quickly, which means you're covering more material out of your textbooks compared to your non-honors peers. And our honors college is really built around a first-year living learning community. That is basically our fancy way of saying that all honors students live in a first-year residence hall together, which makes it really easy for the honors staff to bring guest speakers, bring lectures, and bring workshop series directly to you, because they can hold it in the evening hours in the ground floor lounge of your residence hall. So instead of having to disrupt your studying, bundle up all of your coats for the winter, and then walk across campus, you can just walk downstairs in your pajamas and listen to a guest speaker, and then go back upstairs and continue studying for your chem final you have tomorrow. So it's a really beneficial situation for students who are in our honors college. Now, if you have questions about applying for the honors college program, a few slides from now, I'll cover a little bit more about what our application process looks like. Now, when applying to the University of Delaware, we have 2 deadlines to keep in mind. We are both an early action school as well as a regular decision school. Now, these dates are listed for our last application cycle, but they stay the same every year. Our application will always open up on August 1st, and we have 2 deadlines that students can apply by. If you want to be considered for early action, you need to submit all of your materials by November 1st. Students who apply early action will get their decision released to them on or before January 31st. Students who apply regular decision need to apply by January 15th, and students who apply by regular decision will get their decision back to them by around mid-March. Now, the benefit of applying early action is that you hear back earlier. So if you're debating between University of Delaware and another school, maybe January 1st comes around and you realize, oh, I really should have applied to UD. You still can. You're not going to be at any disadvantage compared to the people who applied earlier than you. Basically, the only thing is that you'll receive your application, or you'll receive your application decision later. So if you know you want to come to UD and you just want to make that college search process just a little bit easier for yourself, apply early action. Most students who apply early action find out way before January 31st, which really makes it easier for you because it allows you and your family members to plan what your senior year of high school spring is going to look like as far as road trips and touring colleges and going to admitted student events. Now, when I say that these are our 2 application deadlines, what that means is that you need to have all of your application materials submitted to our office before those dates. So first things first, you need to submit an application. We accept both the Common App and the Coalition App. We don't consider the applications any differently, so choose which either application is right for you. But when you're filling out that application, there will be a required essay attached to the application. It'll ask for your demographic information, the school you go to, a point of contact, things like that. And it'll also ask for the major that you want to be considered for. We allow students to choose a first choice major and a second choice major. So choose the 2 programs that you want to be considered for. When you submit your application, we'll review you for those programs. We'll admit you to one of those programs. After that, you'll submit the application to our office. We will then reach back out to you with what we call your My Blue Pen Home. That is your portal page where you can track the status of your application in real time, and it's where you'll submit the rest of your required materials. So something that you will need to submit is called your self-reported academic record. A lot of places also refer to it as the SRAR, and it is an electronic file where you input all of the high school classes you've ever taken. So you'll tell us what you've taken during your 9th, 10th, and 9th, 10th, and 11th years. You'll tell us the classes that are currently in progress for your senior year, and you'll tell us the grades and the academic rigor you've taken those classes at. We're collecting this instead of a formal high school transcript because having everyone submit the SRAR actually allows us to go in on the back end and correct for like disparities between school districts. It allows us to give additional weight to students who are taking honors or AP classes, and it allows us to take a more equitable approach to reviewing students' applications just because our students who are applying to the University of Delaware come from all over the country and not every school grades their students the same way. But in addition to the SRAR, we also allow you to self-report your SAT or ACT scores. We're currently test optional for the next upcoming academic cycle as well. So if you were unable to sit for the SAT or ACT just because of the pandemic, you don't need to worry about going to take those tests if you know you want to apply to the University of Delaware. But if you have taken those tests and you're happy with your scores, feel free to send them our way. If you do choose to go test optional though, we just ask for about 3 or 4 supplemental short answer questions in lieu of those test scores, but we don't give preference to students who choose to submit or students who don't choose to submit. It's just an extra piece of the puzzle that we would see when we're reviewing your application. And then last but not least, for students who are applying to the University of Delaware, we want to see a letter of recommendation from your high school guidance counselor. They also can submit a secondary school report, which is basically just an abbreviated letter of recommendation that they can submit. You, of course, can go above and beyond and submit as many letters of recommendation as you want. It's 3 years ago, I had to read through 16 different letters of recommendation. That was a lot. I don't recommend doing that. Basically, if you choose to go above and beyond, keep it to like 3 or 4 letters of recommendation. Teachers write good letters of recommendation. Coaches for sports you play write good letters of recommendation. Teachers who advise student groups, and if you have an employer because you have a job outside of school, they'll generally write a good letter of recommendation. You can feel free to send that to our office as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in applying to the Honors College, the Honors College app is its own separate application. So you'll submit your application to the University of Delaware first. We'll give you that link to your portal where you submit the rest of your information. And on that portal will be the link to submit your University of Delaware Honors College application. It's usually just a short answer essay that they change every year. Those essays are posted on our website, typically around the end of the summer. And then you would just apply to the honors program in addition to submitting your app to UD. Let me advance. Now with that, if you have any questions at all, here's my email address. I'll post this email address in the chat too. And if you have any other questions, we'll have time for question and answer at the end too. But in the meantime, if you have questions that I didn't answer for you, feel free to post them in the chat. But with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll turn it over to our next speaker.
Well, there we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Cassie Perez. I am the IACT Israel coordinator at UT Halal. And basically what that means is that I oversee all of our Israel-based programming, whether it is our Birthright Israel trip, our Onward Israel internships, our huge Israel Fest that we do in the spring. That is my thing. I oversee our Blue Hens for Israel student organization. So you'll see me around a lot with that. But I also do a lot of stuff with student engagement, and I am super excited to talk to you guys today. And I'll also share my screen. So exciting. I am not a UD alum. I am a Delaware transplant, and I really don't think I could be placed at like any better halal. This is an absolutely amazing community. And we have Becca here who in a little bit will tell you not only what it's like to be a Jewish student at UD, but what it's like to be a UD student in general. She's incredible. To kind of kick this off, we have about 2,250 Jewish students. We have a really robust community here, and one that you can really find a home in. We have students from all over and from all sorts of different Jewish backgrounds, whether they grew up in a more traditional household, a more reform household, with 2 Jewish parents, with 1. There is always a group of people or a staff member here that can help you find the best fit and the best community for you at Hillel. We offer a lot of different stuff for you guys. this is kind of a brief list of it. We'll dive into it in more depth. I kind of want to start with freshman programming, which is going to be the most like pressing thing for you guys. So we do have an early move-in program where you can come to UD, move into your dorm, and then we offer something called Freshman Fest. We see about 150 students participate in this every year, at 250 freshmen, 50 upperclassmen. And it's a really great way for you to start finding your community and finding your footing on campus before the big move-in happens, before classes start, kind of see where your place is on campus, and also just to start finding familiar faces. Not only are the people you meet at Freshman Fest going to be the people you see when you come to Shabbat or when you walk into the building, but like Matt was saying, UD is a small campus, and these are the people you're going to start seeing in class and or walking to class, hanging out on the green. And it's a great way to start meeting friends, both freshmen and meeting upperclassmen who can really kind of start showing you the ropes of like Becca, to see like what it means to be a UD student. From Freshman Fest, your upperclassmen leaders you see there kind of become your impact leaders, and impact is a cohort specifically for freshmen. It is led by upperclassmen, and not only is it to help you kind of figure out what the heck Jewish life looks like on campus and where your place is, but also to teach you the ins and outs of being a UD student, whether that's like how you make an appointment with your counselor, how you schedule classes, where the best place to go out to eat is on Main Street. It's a great way, again, to start finding friends. We had over 80 students participate in this just this last year. Becca was one of the people that helped lead it and made it as successful as it was. And then we do coffee conversations. I think this is like everybody's favorite thing, because on Halal, we will take you out to coffee just to hang out. If you have something going on that's bothering you and you just want to vent and get it off your chest, like this is a great place to do that. If you just need a quick coffee, like pick me up in between classes, we've got you there. And not only will you be meeting with staff so we can like get to know you and you can get to know us, you'll also be able to meet with like your peers and start making friends this way and not have to have like the extra cost of like buying a cup of coffee. Like we got you. We do also I'll do a lot on social justice. Zoom videos, I feel like are always a little glitchy, so I'm gonna like hold off on this, but I'm happy to tell you about what's going on. One of our registered student organizations through Hillel is Holla for Hunger. It is a group of students, and they bake challah and sell it and raise money to donate to fight food inequality. We also have our matzo ball soup hotline. Again, that is run by students, and their whole thing is they make huge batches of matzo ball soup, homemade matzo balls. And if you're feeling sick, or you know someone that's going through a tough day, or you think someone that like might just need a little bit of a pick-me-up, you can sign up to send them a free bowl of matzo ball soup, and we'll put it into a little bag with a note for them, just kind of make someone's day feel better. And it's really nice, especially if things are getting stressful with finals. And then finally, we're a huge supporter of U-Dance. If you don't know what U-Dance is, it is UD, a student-run organization. It's this year-long effort to raise awareness and build community around fighting childhood cancer. As someone who went to a very large university, as someone who has spent time working in admissions, I have never seen a school that takes their like dance marathon as seriously as Delaware students do. Even this year with the pandemic, it was absolutely incredible, like the way they were able to rally around. And at Hillel, we actually set up a station selling challah French toast to like be able to donate and give back to that for students. And it was delicious. Now, not only do we want Hillel to be like a home for you and a place where you have friends, or you feel like you have, someone to go to if you're going through a tough time, we really also have tried to make this place where you can grow professionally as well, because you guys are in college, you want to build up your resume, and we want to support you in your effort to do that. So we have over 100 different interns and student leaders every single year. Really in any area that you're interested in, whether that's in fundraising and development, social media marketing, community building. And if there's not something, like if you want to build your resume in a certain area and you're not seeing an internship that fits that for you, what's really great is we see ourselves as student-led, staff supported. So whatever you're not seeing, whatever gaps you have, come to one of us and we will find a way to make it happen for you. So you're getting everything you want out of it. And that doesn't go just for professional opportunities, but also for social opportunities as well. We also have 5 student organizations, registered student organizations through Hillel. I mentioned Holla for Hunger. We also have our Halal Student Life Board. They are really focused on community building and social events. Their big thing is doing bagel brunches, because who does not like free bagels? As a college student, you'll learn very quickly anywhere there's free food, it's like the best thing you could ever go to. We also have Blue Hens for Israel, which I mentioned that I'm the advisor for, and they do Israel-based programming. And so they did an Kaddirai Chocolate event, which is an Israeli chocolate ball, which was dorm friendly, and you got to like cook and make and eat those. We brought Aroma frozen coffee in from Israel, so you could come and take a study break during finals week. I will say coffee is a strong word for what Aroma is. It is definitely mostly milk and sugar, but it is delicious nonetheless. We also have Gesher, which is our religious student board. They plan our services that we do before Shabbat. They also partner with us to make sure high holidays are everything that you want it to be. We'll dive into those a little bit more. Who did I leave out? HSL, Blue. Oh, and Save a Child's Heart. Save a Child's Heart is our last registered student organization. Save a Child's Heart is an offshoot of a larger nonprofit that's based out of Israel, and they provide life-saving heart surgeries for children all over the world. When you go on Birthright, we actually visit the organization. You get to meet some of the kids. They're absolutely adorable. And so their big purpose is fundraising and raising awareness around that. And then the last thing on here is just our cohorts. So this year we offered 24 different cohorts, anywhere from cooking classes, arts and crafts, Jewish learning, Torah study. We have LGBTQ support groups, we have book club. Wherever you kind of want to have something, we try our best to have already had it. But again, if we don't, and you see a gap and you feel like something's missing or you're not being represented in the way you want to, we would love to partner with you and make it happen. As for Israel, this is my thing. It is my favorite thing to talk about. So we do, of course, offer a Birthright Israel program. We have the traditional 10-day trip to Israel that is free for you. Most students at UD go in their freshman year, whether that's during winter session or if it's after the semester ends during the summer. Just like Matt was saying, and how UD is very proud of their study abroad program, we take that very seriously too. And we're actually the only campus that offers a study abroad option alongside their Birthright trip. So the way that looks is it's an extra around $200, but your trip is expanded to 15 days. And after the 15 days are over, you'll get 3 extra credit hours. Currently it's for the hospitality 328 class. And for a lot of you guys, that would fall under your breadth requirements. Cause again, like Matt was saying, UD really values a well-rounded holistic experience. And so this is a really cool way to do that. Some of the highlights from the trips, they went to a goat farm and got to feed baby goats. They got to go on a food tour in the Shuk in Tel Aviv. You get to stay in a Bedouin tent, hike Masada, you're floating in the Dead Sea. It is the most exhausting 10 or 15 days of your life. You will come home and you will sleep for 3 days straight. But it is absolutely incredible. The other thing we have is an Onward Israel program. For anyone that might not know what that is, we recommend doing this after Birthright. And you can actually go and intern in Israel for 2 months over the summer with a cohort of 25 other UD students. So we'll help find you an internship around whatever it is you're interested in, whether it's major specific or maybe there's just an area that you're really wanting to build skills in. Whatever that is, we will find an internship for you. You'll get to live in Israel and really immerse yourself in the culture and in the society and learn so much about it. And it is a ton of fun, especially because it's summer, you get to be at the beach. What more could you ask for? And then maybe, okay, there we go. So for Shabbat and high holidays, we have a couple different things we do. In the past, prior to this year, we had like Shabbat sit down dinners where there'd be tables set up. You would come and get food. You'd sit with your friends. You would sit with new people. This year, we did it a little differently. We did to-go Shabbats, and we averaged 125 students coming to Shabbat every single week. So you're really able to meet a ton of people at Shabbat. Again, you're getting a free meal. You're not having to pay anything out of pocket. You're not having to use your meal plan for this. And you're welcome to bring anyone with you that you want. If your roommate is not Jewish and you want to be able to eat dinner with them, they are more than welcome to come to Halal and come and join you for Shabbat. Like we welcome them with open arms. We do offer Shabbat services. You don't have to go to services to get dinner, but they're available for you if that's something you enjoy. We do conservative and reform services, and those are going to be student led. An average week, you'll see like 20, 25 students at services. On a larger week, upwards of 50. Around the high holidays, you'll see 100, 150 plus students coming by. And around those holidays, we do all sorts of different programming. Of course, we have your traditional programs, but we also try to make it fun for you guys. So like for Purim, for example, not only did we do a traditional Megillah reading, but we did a game show version. And even with this being on Zoom, people showed up all in their like Purim costumes. It was a ton. I probably had the most fun I've ever had at any sort of service. And I am obviously not the target audience for it, but it was great. Just over at Shavuot, we had an ice cream party and a no-bake cheesecake event. We had a barbecue and bonfire for Lag BaOmer. During Passover, we did a campus-wide afikoman hunt. So we would hide the afikoman somewhere on UD's campus and send out an email with a clue. And then students would come like running from every direction to find it. And each day you were entered to win a different prize, with the like grand prize being either a projector or an Apple Watch, depending on what you were more interested in. So super cool. And as always, both with Shabbat and with holidays and outside of that, we have Jewish learning available for you. In kind of whatever capacity you're interested in doing it, whether it is through art, through traditional conversations with a Jewish educator. We really try to make it accessible and fun for you. And again, if you're not seeing it in the way that makes sense, or something you want to learn about is not being offered, say something, because we will be more than happy to do it for you. And then the last thing is just, again, we want Halal to be your home away from home. We have free coffee and snacks all the time. We, often are baking cookies when we have students in the building. So you feel like you're kind of walking into a house. Our building is a converted house. And so you are like kind of walking in to your home. We just bought the property next door. And so we also have this huge backyard space where you can go hang out, lay in a hammock. We have games that we have out there that you can play. We also offer like one-on-one support. So if you need to talk to like a staff member or just like a grown-up and they need help processing something, like we are here to be your on-campus like mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever you need. We also have free printing, just like yay, and a lot of places to hang out. So like I said, we have the backyard next door, but we also have a huge back room. We have beanbag chairs, couches, like lounge areas. We have a library. That's where this picture is taken. So kind of whatever you need or whatever space you're looking for, we can offer it for you, and we would love to have you. There's nothing that makes my day more than getting to hang out with you guys as a staff member. Like it really just brings so much joy like to my day, and I'm going to say that on behalf of everyone. But yeah, just for the sake of time, I'll kind of leave it there. This is my email as well as my Instagram. Feel free to follow. Let me know if you have questions. Hillary is our assistant director. You're also more than welcome to reach out to her. She's also happy to answer questions. Becca's going to talk to you a little bit just about her experience on campus, but I threw her stuff in here as well. And then also on the right is our general UD Instagram, our Facebook, our website. Please reach out with any questions you have, put them in the chat. Feel free to message me directly if you don't want to like have your question out there in the open for everybody. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. I'll still be happy to answer it. And I'll throw the website in the chat in just a second. But thank you. I'll pass it to Becca. She's probably the most interesting person here.
Not that interesting, but I'll try to be interesting. I'm Becca. I don't have a presentation or anything, so you can just, hang out with me. I am now I guess a senior because I just finished my junior year studying political science education. So I will be certified to teach social studies in grades 6 through 12 once I graduate. Exciting. Um, on campus, I'm involved with Hillel, Greek life, SGA, and our peer mentor program. So I'm pretty busy at school. And I know that you probably just had a lot of information thrown at you. So don't feel too overwhelmed. These are all the options you have. You don't have to do everything. You get to pick and choose what you want to do. So when I say I'm involved in Hillel, I don't do every single thing that Cassie just listed, but I pick the things that are the most interesting and exciting to me. So I regularly attend Shabbat because that's something that I am excited for. And I just did an internship with Hillel focusing on sustainability on campus and just in our lives. And I was, like Cassie said, I was an impact leader. So I led a group of freshmen kind of navigating their way through their first semester on campus, used loosely because of COVID. But it was fun just to meet new people. I've had, people in my group still reach out to me asking questions, asking for help on registering for courses, asking about, Greek life and sorority recruitment, different things like that. So there's a lot of opportunities on campus. I'm a member of Pi Beta Phi sorority, and I'm on the Pan-Hellenic Executive Board, which is the governing body over our Greek life. I'm pretty sure it's like a good percentage of Greek life is Jewish. So if you're interested in joining Greek life, you don't have to worry about not being surrounded by Jewish people. No matter what organization you join, you're going to have Jewish friends that you can go to Shabbat with, or you can go to high holiday services with. There's Jewish people everywhere. Like, you don't have to worry about that. That was when I was applying to schools, my mom's one requirement was that the school had a Hillel. And funny enough, I actually applied to Delaware very last minute and was very unsure if that's where I was going to go. And as soon as I toured the campus, it was like a done deal. It just made sense. Our campus is beautiful. I was very worried about having too big of classes, and you don't have that problem here. Any class that is a lecture class, you can probably find a smaller equivalent of that class. So if you need to take Econ 101, and I took it in a 275 person lecture, which was probably not my wisest choice, I would have done much better in the other section, which was 30 people. So if you want classes similar to the size of your high school classes, you will be able to find them. Also, like Matt was saying, we have a ton of different majors, and even though it is direct admit, you can switch your major up. I've had 4 different majors while at UD, so don't be afraid to change your major. It's okay. I don't really know how about you ask me questions, because I feel like that's easier, because I don't know what you want to know. I don't want to just tell you things if it's not going to be valuable to you. You can type it in the chat, Cassie, if you want to ask me a question. I can answer one of your questions. Cassie knows me, that's why it's funny.
I would love for you to talk about how you found yourself at Halal, because I think it's like a little bit different than maybe a lot of the students.
So I did Freshman Fest when I came to school, which was that early move-in. You move in a night or two before, and then you get a full day of programming with Halal. You get to meet a bunch of people. And I thought that was going to be it. Like, that was going to be my entryway into Halal. And then school just, came full swing at me. And I kind of fell off the radar a little bit. And towards the end of the semester, one of my friends and I decided that we were going to go on Birthright together. So we went on Birthright, and I got to know the staff at Hillel and the people on my trip. And then from then, I've just been involved ever since. So Hillel's really good at keeping you involved, because Cassie knows me. I'm fairly forgetful. So she'll just text me, be like, hey, you haven't signed up for Shabbat this week. Are you interested in coming? And I'll be like, yes, send me the link. So that's like nice. You don't have to worry about forgetting things, because you can always get reminders if you need reminders, or if you're really on top of it, then, you'll sign up ahead of time and it won't be a problem. And I'm also one of those people that get connected to things when I'm actively involved and like planning and doing things. So I took leadership opportunities in Hillel, and that's how I found myself. I think just being involved, consistently showing up, and like being myself there. That's one thing that is, everyone says be yourself, and it's especially true at Delaware and in Hillel. If you are yourself, you will find your people. There's no there's not going to be people unlike you. You will find your group. Matt, that might be a question for you in the chat.
So the question was, does the intended major stated on the application impact probability of admission? Jordan, the sort of is really the best way to answer that question. Basically, when we're reviewing applicants for admission, we look at the first choice major and then we look at the second choice major. But, well, actually, I misspoke. Sorry about that. When we're reviewing students for admission, the first thing that we actually look for is admissibility to the University of Delaware as a whole. So we have a 2-reader process, which basically means that every student who applies to the University of Delaware is read by 2 different admissions counselors. So the first admissions counselor is looking through their application, making sure that they have everything submitted properly, making sure that they've done things like taken math classes, taken foreign language classes, things like that. And based on all of those things, they would then say, yes, the student is admissible to the University of Delaware, or no, the student is not admissible to the University of Delaware. Once the first reader reads the application, they hand it off to the second reader. And the second reader is the person who delves deeper into the, can we admit them to their first choice or can we admit them to their second choice? Some majors on the University of Delaware's campus are more competitive to get into than others. For example, our nursing program is our smallest major on campus. A lot of students want to be a nurse. Not every student who applies to the nursing program can get in. And it's a similar situation for like chemical engineering, biomedical engineering, our occupational therapy program, our sports health programs. But as long as the student is admissible to the University of Delaware, they're going to be admitted to the University of Delaware. Because if we can't admit you to your first or second choice major, maybe, for example, a situation that happens every year, we require our engineering students to have at least pre-calc on their transcript. Some students don't read through our admissions requirements thoroughly and they apply for 2 engineering programs without pre-calc. But other than that, they're a stellar student. They just can't start in the engineering program right away. In that situation, we would admit that student, but we would admit them to our University Studies Undeclared program. Does that answer that question for you though, Jordan? Oh, and then your second, one of your follow-up questions was, can the second choice be undecided? Yes. Our University Studies program is its own major. So if a student wants to apply first choice or second choice undecided, they should feel free to do so. And then the average class size question for Jacob. Our average class size is 35 students per class, and the majority of our classes, so 65% of our classes, are 50 students or fewer. And we have a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio.
I will also say registering for classes is very easy at UD. I'm from Maryland, and I took a winter course at the University of Maryland as just a credit because it's a little less expensive if you're doing it in state. And I will say UD's like the system to register for classes, to track everything is really, really easy. Like compared to some of the other schools that I've seen, it's very easy to navigate. And even like Matt, when he pulled up the page and it was different and he was like, oh, this is even easier than before. It's always getting better and better and better. So that's at least one good thing. If you come here, you will be able to find everything you need, whether it be physically on campus or online.
I just shared a link in the chat too about transferring classes like that. So if any of you are in dual enrollment programs in high school, or if you've taken community college courses over the summer, or if you're doing AP or maybe an IB curriculum, this link I've posted in the chat will take you to those instructions on how those courses are evaluated when you come to UD.
Halal. So Halal, we are located like just off campus. Like we can see Trabant, like a huge like student hub from our building. We can see the green from our building. So if you're like on the green, we're like a 2-minute walk away from the dorms, like up on North Campus, we're maybe like a 10 to 15-minute walk, just to kind of put that in perspective. So we're technically not on campus, but we're about as close as you could possibly get.
At UD, when people say off campus, it means something different than other campuses. Like other schools, when they say off campus, they mean like a drive, or like they mean you need a bus. Like when UD students say, oh yeah, I live off campus, they mean they don't live on university owned property, but they are still very much on the campus. Like the whole town is basically the campus. It's just not all owned by the university, if that makes sense. So like when people, they're like, oh, Hillel, and I'm like, yeah, like it's basically on campus. Like you can't really get much closer to campus if you want to.
And since the town's so small and it has Main Street that runs right through it, in some cases, like off-campus housing is closer to your classes than upperclassmen or first-year housing even. But then, of course, literally no freshman residence hall is more than like a 20-minute walk to class.
I mean, I would say visit both times, but that's just me because I love it.
So
It-
I can take this because I actually manage our visit program for our office. Give me 1 second and I'll grab the link to sign up for tours. Personally, I would actually recommend visiting in the fall, just because that's when students are on campus and that's when campus looks more lively. We do have summer sessions, and I'm copying the link from my browsers. Sorry, I can't do two things at once apparently. Students and families can definitely come visit for the summer, but if you're looking to like get that feel for what it's like to step foot on campus, it's going to be a little bit different in the summer, because basically the only people who are on campus during the summer are people doing undergraduate research or taking student or undergraduate classes, and generally those numbers are around like 2,000 undergraduate students versus our 18,000 undergraduate students during the academic year. Also, it's hot in Delaware during the summer and the tour is outside.
Yeah, I was gonna say the fall's so nice. I would say the fall's so nice too. Like when you walk by the freshman housing, there's a turf and everyone is always outside on the turf. And they were actually doing U-Dance was distributing items, but right before U-Dance, and my friend and I were walking by the turf and we were like, oh, we need to come back here. Like it was one of our favorite parts of like freshman years, just everybody's on the turf. There's people playing spike ball and volleyball and doing homework and anything you could imagine or want to do out there. There's people doing it and it's just a lot of fun.
And during the fall, our office traditionally hosts larger open house events. So those are day-long programs typically held on Sundays or Saturdays where parents, family members can come to campus. They can actually sit through a presentation hosted by the major or the college the student wants to be admitted into, in addition to touring the residence halls, getting inside of the dining hall, walking around campus, seeing the gym. From our perspective, we don't know what those programs will look like with the ongoing pandemic, but some of our on-campus partners are currently doing hybrid programs. So we might be in a situation where some people can get on campus, but those who still want to be virtual would just have a virtual program for the fall.
Any other questions or last thoughts from Matt, Cassie, or Becca? Becca, any advice from you for people like entering this process and like you've been here, but not too long ago?
You will be okay. I think that's the biggest piece of advice. Don't worry, like you will get into school. You will get into a school. If you have options, that's amazing, but like you will get into school and that, you will be okay. Wherever you go, you will make friends. If you go in with a positive attitude, you'll be a-okay. And there's always people there to help you, like it's always a little bit scary going into the unknown and something new, but there's people who've been there and they've made it through and they will help you make it through if you need help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm a big advocate for that. And there's, I'm sure Matt would be happy to help you. Cassie would be happy to help you. I'd be happy to help you. We're all happy to help. So don't be afraid to reach out. It's not weird. I promise you. I'd be so happy. My heart would like jump. I'd be like, oh, someone is actually, you know, reaching out. So don't be afraid to do that. That's the biggest piece of advice.
That's really great advice. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
I agree. And I also recommend reaching out early and often. And as like your own form of record keeping, create your own email account just for your college search process. From the perspective of an admissions counselor, we're constantly sending you like automated messages to check this, to check that. Don't forget to submit that. And occasionally some web clients such as Gmail mark that stuff as spam, but like you need to be checking those messages because it's important information to make sure your application is complete. So if you create a college search email address, like Jacob, I'm going to use you as an example. If you create jacobcollegesearch@whatever.com, you could use that throughout your entire college search process. It's especially helpful as well because if you all have email clients provided to you by your high school, once you graduate from high school, those emails stop working for you, but we're still sending you important information throughout the summer that you need to make sure you keep track of before you step foot on campus.
Good advice. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, our time is almost up, and I wanted to thank Matt, Cassie, and Becca really so much for joining us and sharing so much about University of Delaware. I texted someone earlier and I was like, I should have gone to Delaware. So you convinced me. But thank you. And thank you for everyone who joined us. And this will be shared, uploaded on our YouTube channel. So if you have friends that you think would be interested in hearing, if your parents, didn't make it in there, they want to sit through the session, we will send out the recording. I'm putting a link in the chat right now that is just a survey. Yes, I am doing that. And please fill it out, and we'll also send it out in a follow-up email. And thank you. Thanks for being here. You guys have my email and you can reach out to me also. And I look forward to hearing how your college process goes. So have a great night, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.